that game sucked. I should say the fourth quarter of that game sucked. So the Eagles lose in overtime to Dallas, 29-23, I believe was the final. In a game that I don't want to sound like one of those fans, but a game that honestly the Eagles lost more than Dallas won. Um, we can carve this game up like a pizza, and each part of that game represents a slice. So the Eagles are up by 10 in the fourth quarter, and I'm not saying that it was the wrong idea or the wrong decision, but I don't believe he had to carry the whole game up until that point. But Wendell Smallwood comes in. Well, why is Darren Sproles not there? And I know you can't have him in every play, and you're worried at that point with Ryan Matthews fumbles in the fourth quarters. But Wendell Smallwood comes in. I guess Peterson's thinking, well, what can go wrong here? Well, there you go. There's another fourth quarter fumble by an Eagles running back. You gotta play players. I mean, they're on the roster. They're there. But if you're gonna put Wendell Smallwood into a situation where he hasn't been in the game the whole game, pretty much, besides maybe special teams, that's probably not the place to put him. In that situation, I mean, even Barner was getting some carries. Maybe you go with him there instead of Wendell Smallwood. I'm not saying that Wendell Smallwood's a big fumbler, but it just wasn't the right situation for him to be in there. I mean, today the trade deadline comes and goes. The Eagles apparently offered a 5th-round pick for Torrey Smith. It's like, you can't really suggest that, well, if they went out and got Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey or any of these other receivers, there's gonna be that instant connection and it's gonna work out, because you just never know. In some ways, I'd rather them get these receivers in the offseason when you have the offseason to work with, for the receivers to get together with Carson Wentz and to get familiar with one another, how Carson throws, and, how Carson can get into how the receivers, run their routes and such. I mean, it just makes it easier than just bringing in a guy during the season. How many weeks in now are we, right? I even forget what week we're going into. I've been so busy with the move. So basically the receivers, we know this. It's the worst receiving core in the NFL. It's been an epidemic all season. The drops, the big drops. I mean, Jordan Matthews, it was a trick play. I mean, why are you running a trick play at that point? I mean, you had Carson Wentz carving up that defense, and to the point where Dallas's defenders were kind of, doing those, I'm hurt type things, trying to stop the pace of the Eagles offense type deal. Why take the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands at that point? But at the same time, that was a touchdown. I mean, Huff threw a good ball. Jordan Matthews, that's an easy catch. That's an easy catch in the end zone that he drops. Now, what else is new about that, right? They have all these great nicknames for all these different, units over the years. The Purple People Eaters, the Steel Curtain, this and that. This receiving corps' nickname is the Green Butterfinger Gang. And that's basically what it is. They drop so many passes, and it's always worse after a loss. When you see these these drops that, like, how in the world did they drop that one? You get paid, and again, I hate doing this because I don't hate on people for making money, but you get paid millions and millions of dollars, more money than I'll ever see. And all you have to do, besides, run your routes and block, and I get there's more than just catching the ball, but you're paid to catch the ball. You're paid more money than I'll see in my lifetime just to catch a ball. Catch the damn ball, particularly if you're in the end zone and it's an easy touchdown. Catch the damn ball. And I know other receivers on other teams drop passes. It happens everywhere. But the Eagles have got to lead the league in drop passes. Okay, so Jordan Matthews drops an easy touchdown in the end zone. At that point, it would have given them a 14. The game over. If he catches that ball, game over. Dallas isn't coming back from 14 down with 3 minutes and change or whatever it was left, 4 minutes, whatever it was. I don't care. They can bring back the triplets. They're not coming back from 14 down at that point. The way the game was going at that point. And then there was a lot of talk, and rightfully so, that Doug Peterson, who, before the end of the first half, went for a long field goal with Caleb Sturgis, who, by the way, has had a really solid year. I know when he first came here last year, he had some inconsistencies. He's been a pretty solid kicker, this year. Give him credit where credit's due. He's been solid. You don't really have to worry so much when he's kicking. And he kicked a 55-yard field goal. They iced him. He kicked it again just before half. I mean, it's a 7-point game at that time in the fourth quarter when, they at third down they go, for a loss of 6. Now people say that was a stupid play call, but if you look at it again, the rush was there, and Carson basically had to dump it off to Sproles, who got tackled 6 yards back. But that was just good defense on Dallas's part. But still, why are you not attempting a long field goal at that time? It's a dome. I know they got the hole in the roof, but it's a dome. I mean, it's not like you have to worry about weather or anything. It's a dome. Just go for it. Go for the field goal. I know earlier in the year, right, Doug was Mr. Just going for it. Going for fourth down plays and this and that. He was Mr. Aggressive, right? I mean, they were going for things. And in that point in the game, I understand it's a 7-point game. And I understand there's always that fear that, well, if the field goal's blocked, I mean, it's a long field goal, so it's got to be a lower projection and all this and that. I understand that. The longer field goals have more, chance of being blocked. But, I mean, you leave points on the board at that point. And in the end, it costs them, if you think about it. I mean, that's a 3-point swing. They go up by 10 at that point. I still think that's game. I think that's game. I mean, ice it. It's over. But he doesn't. They punt. Try to pin Dallas deep. Didn't really work out that well because Dallas moved the ball. Now, I will say this. I mean, Leotis McKelvin, talk about drops. Drops an easy pick. And if he catches that could be game. That could be game. I say could be. You never know. But more than likely, all intents and purposes, that could be game. And then, of course, the very next play, there goes Dez, making a great catch in the end zone for a touchdown, tied the game up. And of course, Dallas after a few possessions, before the end of the game, regulation, Dallas gets the ball in overtime, and bing bang boom, they're in the end zone. Again, a busted play by the Eagles defense. They're running into one. They look like the freaking Keystone Cops out there. It's disappointing, on many facets. It was a game that should have been a win. To me, in all sports, and I'm talking as a Philly sports fan, 4 for 4, love all the teams. There's no team that I hate losing more to than Dallas. Even in years where the Eagles aren't good, even in years where Dallas isn't good, it's just, it's the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling because, to me, it's the biggest rivalry we have in this city. And I know the Flyers-Penguins are pretty big. It just wasn't a good weekend for us, right? We lose to the Penguins than Dallas. That just sucked. But the Penguins, for me, the Devils, are a pretty good rival for the Flyers. I mean, I just have nightmares with that team in the playoffs. The Rangers, different teams. But to me, there is no bigger rivalry than Dallas. And part of it is because of their local bandwagon fans who, not all of them, are bad. I do want to give a shout out to Russell, older gentleman who's, I know him from my trips over to Mitchell and Ness, and he's always decked out in his Dallas gear. And it just doesn't matter, whether they're winning or losing. And I give him a lot of credit. And he's just a super nice guy. We have many good conversations in the store when we see each other for the sale. It's almost like we find one another out in the store. He's hard to miss too. You can't miss Russell. But most of those fans that live in this area, I mean, just talk about You hear them after wins, and you don't hear from them after losses. The ones that call on WIP or post on Facebook and this and that. It's like they were really quiet last year. I think some of them were masquerading as Patriot fans last year after Dallas got off to a slow start, or after Romo went down, I should say. I can't stand them. I cannot stand those fans because they're very gloatish. Eagle fans, I mean, we get a bad rap about, oh, you're too passionate, you're too this, you're too that. But, for us to go around gloating, when, we love our team. And they let us down a lot more than not. So for us to run around gloating, it's not like we have a lot of Lombardi trophies to point to, So for us, it's more of just this labor of love with this team that just consistently lets us down. And Sunday night was another example of that, where they had a win, in the palm of their hands. All they had to do was kick a freaking field goal to go up by 10, or not screw up when they were in field goal range, and that's exactly what they did. Or Jordan Matthews catch the damn ball in the end zone, or Leotis McKelvin catch the interception. And then you get all these Dallas fans talking about Dak Prescott, this, that, the other thing. I know he's good. He is a good quarterback, and he is going to have a very, very good career. I think it's awesome that we got a very good rookie, and they got a good rookie to have this big-time rivalry, the Wentz Prescott rivalry for many years. I mean, it just adds to the rivalry of the Eagles-Dallas rivalry. I think it's great. But I will say this, I mean, they just get so carried away with the guy. And I know we're all excited about Carson Wentz. And I do think we do have a right to be. I mean, if you saw the quarterbacks that we've had to go through in recent years, you must excuse us for being a little excited. At least Dallas had Tony Romo, right? I mean, I know he has yet to even go to a conference title game, but he's had some great years there. We haven't had that since McNabb. So Dallas. I mean, one guy was calling him Russell Wilson. It's like, no. if you're going to be compared to Russell Wilson, you better damn well win a Super Bowl. I mean, Russell's won a Super Bowl. He's got to another one. Come on. I know Dak's got off to a great start. They're 6-1, but enough of the comparisons. Come on. I mean, you say, oh, well, he won with it. They're like, he won without Dez there. Well, the reason for that is because he had Ezekiel Elliott to hand the ball off to. If Carson Wentz had Ezekiel Elliott to hand the ball off to, and that offensive line in front of him, he might be undefeated right now. I mean, and again, I know it sounds like sour grapes, and I don't want it to sound like that, but I just get so frustrated because, it's like, man, you got to understand the situation. Look at the situation that Dak Prescott is in. Look at what he has around him. Even when Dez wasn't there, I argue that they still have a better receiving core than the Eagles. They don't have guys that drop the ball, particularly in big moments. Right? I mean, Cole Beasley, how many times do you see him drop a ball in the end zone in a big moment in the game? Right? I mean, come on, Jason Witten. How often is he going to drop a pass like that, like Matthews dropped? No, I don't want to hear it. I mean, to me, if you really are someone who understands football, who really gets football, and watched that game and see what quarterback had a better overall game than the other. I know Dak came back and won the game in the fourth quarter. Great for him, okay? But if you really think about it, if you really are truthful to yourself, even Dallas fans with the star glasses, okay? If you guys are really truthful to yourself, late in the fourth quarter on that drive that ended up tying the game, Leotis McKelvin drops an interception on a bad pass. Now, if that happens, Dak Prescott's pretty much like Tony Romo, right? Late fourth quarter, close game, throws a bad interception. And I'm not holding anything against Dak, okay? But what I'm saying is you compare the two quarterbacks in that game, who had the better game? It was Carson Wentz. It was Carson Wentz. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Eagles fan, okay? I'm saying that because I understand the game. And I see how these quarterbacks played. And Dak Prescott was throwing a lot of passes that should have been picked. And I know that Wentz got away with a few. Not as many as Dak did. And Dak has the better weapons. I mean, these receivers catch more passes for him. Carson Wentz walks away with that win. Walks away with it. I mean, there was a point in the game in the first quarter where you're sitting there going, how the hell is Dallas not destroying this team right now? And part of that is because Dak Prescott, the Eagles' defense, they were doing a good job against him. I mean, they did a good job for the most part against Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he busted off a few runs, but he's a great running back. Every great running back is going to bust off a few runs in a game. But for the most part, they held him down. Prescott, again, that final drive, it was a great catch by Dez Bryant for the touchdown in traffic. And then, I mean, the play just before that, again, Leotis McKelvin, my God, man. Catch the damn ball. I mean, Dallas runs a trick play with a punter. And you had Jordan Mills just looking at it. It's like, Jordan, he's a player with a football in his hand and he's running. You might want to try to tackle him. I know he's a punter, but you don't have to look like you're afraid of the punter. It's not like Ezekiel Elliott coming at you. It's the punter. Nothing against punters, but I don't think he's going to be breaking too many tackles. Okay? You see him running, and you're just watching him. No, you might want to try to get him. Yeah? Player on the opposing team running with the football. You might want to try something. It's just a thought. Yeah, it's games like that that just frustrate you. And that's what this team loves to do. They love to just... Yeah, they frustrate you. And this season isn't about Super Bowls. This season is about building for something. They don't have they don't have the makeup of a Super Bowl champion this year. They don't have the receiving core. They don't have the offensive line. I will say this, the offensive line played pretty good. I mean, Vaitai, he probably had one of his best games so far. And you got to give credit where credit's due. I know he got trial by fire there week 1 against Kerrigan when he was in there, and Wentz's first play has his jersey all ripped up. I understand that, but he's played pretty well since. Give him credit. I mean, we didn't see a lot of yellow flags on Kelsey this week, which was good. And that's an improvement. And he's playing hurt. So, you give him credit where credit's due. Hey, we criticize him a lot, but I thought he had a decent game. He's playing hurt. He's hanging in there, not getting a lot of penalties this week. But the bottom line is, in this game, is when the chips were on the table, when it was crunch time, they turtled up. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They turtled up. Jordan Matthews drops an easy touchdown. Doug Peterson elects to punt instead of going for the long field goal when you had a field goal kicker basically kicking 2 55-yard field goals before the first half. And then the defense giving up, a touchdown drive on it, that ties the game. McKelvin drops an interception. And then in overtime, they gave up some plays, and then, the wide open, probably the easiest touchdown he's ever had in his whole career, which is a long career, but that last score of the game where the two Eagles ran into one another, I guess it was an appropriate way to end that game, right? I've seen a lot of tough ones over the years, some tough losses against Dallas, particularly like primetime games. I mean, I still remember the one years ago where Tommy Hutton botched the snap, and that one still stings. And this one does too, because this was a winnable game. And I know Dallas fans are all happy and gloating, and they have a right to. Their team's 6-1. They're in first place. I mean, they won the game. But really, I think deep down inside, even though they might not want to admit it, because I mean, when you win, you don't want to admit these things, but honestly, to a man, I think you got to say the Eagles lost that game more than Dallas won it, because they were completely outplayed for what was it, the second quarter, the third quarter, and into the fourth quarter. And unfortunately, Smallwood has that fumble. The Eagles completely botch getting to the punter when he's running with the ball on the trick play. Not going for the long field goal. I mean, a lot of factors went into that loss in the fourth quarter. Doug Peterson's a first-year head coach. One of the concerns that we had with him coming in was with that Andy Reid tree would be the play calling, the clock, the poor clock management at the end. I mean, you can't really complain about that to this point, because even at the end of that first half, it's not like they sat on it. I mean, they went for it. They were trying to get a field goal, to end the half. And credit to them for that. How many teams did you see do that? I mean, there wasn't a lot of time left. And it was just, okay, one more play. Okay, here we go. Let's go field goal. Aggressive. I mean, and where did that go in the fourth quarter? That's the most mind-numbing thing about it, is like you did that at the end of the first half. Why don't go for the long field goal at the in the fourth quarter to try to push the lead to 10? I mean, there's no guarantee he's going to make it. I can kind of see the other side of it. What if it's blocked, return for a touchdown? Oh, why are you going for it instead of punting? I mean, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, right? But that was a situation you got to go for that field goal. I mean, it's a huge game. It's a division game on the road, a chance at first place. I mean, you go up double digits. You have your foot on their throat. You gotta put that foot down and squeeze it, squeeze the life out of them at that point. Because, at that point, a double-digit lead, Dallas is already feeling down about things. They go down, double digits at that point. That's game. That's game. And he elects to punt. And I get it. The defense is playing really well. They're holding Dallas down. Dallas, they're even when they get down the field, they're being held to field goal attempts. Jordan Hicks, I know Dallas fans are really getting tired of seeing him. He gets a big interception in the end zone. I guess Dak is human after all, huh? In a way, I get it. But at the same time, if I'm the coach and I have a chance to increase the lead, you got to try it. And knowing that my field goal kicker made 2 55-yard field goals before the end of the first half, I got to send him out there. Go for it. And you know what? If you really believe in your defense at that point, if he misses the field goal, okay, they have a shorter field, but put the defense out there. It's their turn to try to make a stop. It is. It was a frustrating loss. No way to sugarcoat that. It was a tough one. I hate losing to Dallas. I hate losing to them more than any other team. But at the same time, it was a winnable game. And we'll see them again on January 1st right here. And that game might come down to the division. We know what happens with Dallas at the end of seasons, going into Week 17 with the division on the line, at least in recent years. I don't know. Like I said, it is a disappointing loss. It's to me the most disappointing loss of the season. Obviously there were some tough ones. The Redskins one was just, come on. The competitive levels in that one. The loss to the Lions was tough because, again, the Eagles, kicked themselves. Two bad turnovers, leads to a loss, and now this. But at the same time, if you really look at the big picture, this team's 4-3, and they're 4-3 without an semblance of a receiving core, without a semblance of a running game, with an offensive line that's been very inconsistent. Defense, at times, has been inconsistent, but they've played better. you got to wonder why they're 4-3. Number 11, Carson Wentz, franchise quarterback. Um, the one thing I've said this before, and I will say this again. I really hope and pray that this regime does not make the same mistake that the old regime did when Andy was here, and not give this kid weapons, and take how long it took for them, when Donovan was here, until they finally got, Terrell Owens, and how many disappointments we had to go through, knowing that if they just had that other receiver, playmaker, a player that can stretch the defense, just make it happen. And we screamed for this for years, and then that loss to Carolina in the championship game finally opened up their eyes to, we might need a big play receiver here. Yeah, it helps. And I'm not saying that just having one is going to get you Super Bowl wins, because Detroit had Megatron for many years. They never won. I mean, Randy Moss has no rings on his fingers. I mean, Chris Carter doesn't have rings on his fingers. I'm not saying that. No, just when you get one, it's the. I mean, T.O. doesn't have any rings on his fingers, right? But it certainly helps, particularly when you have that franchise quarterback in place, and the Eagles have that in Carson Wentz. There's no doubt about that. Seeing how the kid's doing it with this group, he has got to have weapons. And I kind of understand why they didn't trade for Alshon Jeffrey, because you're basically getting a rental guy. I mean, you're giving up a lot to get a guy who there's no guarantee you're going to be able to re-sign him. Even Torrey Smith. Look, there's like 25 Torrey Smiths in the league right now, okay? He's a guy. Would he be the best receiver on this team? Yes. But I think we could do a little better than... No offense to the guy. Okay, he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. I get that, but we can do a little better than Torrey Smith. Okay? Alshon, to me, in the offseason, and they do have to relock up Benny Logan. I think that's one of the big, priorities for this offseason. Strengthen the offensive line, re-sign Benny Logan, maybe get another cornerback in here, another linebacker. I mean, I get that. There's a lot of other needs other than just that receiver. But if you have that franchise QB in place, you better damn well give him weapons, and you better damn well do it earlier than you did when Donovan was here. Alshon Jeffrey's a pending free agent. Terrell Pryor could be a free agent. Deshaun Jackson. I mean, there are players out there that you can go and get. And guess what? Wide receivers want to come to a team with a franchise quarterback in place. I mean, that's where they tend to go, right? So you have one here in Carson, and he continues to progress as the season goes along. I think that just opens up some more eyes. Maybe we get some receivers this offseason. I'm Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. We need weapons on this team. And it's not going to guarantee anything. But it damn well is going to be better than what we're dealing with right now. Jordan Matthews is a nice receiver. He should be a slot receiver. He should not be on the outside. Okay, for whatever reason, he seems to catch the ball more when he's being covered down the middle than when it's an easy catch down the sideline. For whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's something in his head. I don't get it. But he is a better slot receiver than an outside receiver. So you keep him here. Nelson Aguilar needs to go away. Okay, we all know this. Dorial Green-Beckham, I still want to see more of the kid, but I don't know. If they replace him with Alshon Jeffrey, so be it. Okay, and then you get D-Jax on the other side. Now you have Jeffrey, Matthews, D-Jax. We're good to go. Let's do it. All right, Carson, you got your weapons. I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen. Maybe that's like in a Madden fantasy world. But something like that needs to happen. Needs to happen this offseason because we're all frustrated. I'm as frustrated as all the rest of the Eagle fans out there watching this week to week, watching these big drops and big moments. Okay, I'm as sick of it as the rest of you. I mean, it's just a hang the head moment. Every time it happens, it's just again. It's like you get ready to get that exciting touchdown. Catch the damn ball. to me, it has to be one of the top priorities. And I know, look, they were trying to make trades today, didn't happen, but it shows that I think they understand it. Something needs to happen, and something needs to happen this offseason. I mean, hashtag bring back Djax, right? I mean, it needs to happen. The cupboard was left bare after Chip left. His own doing. Okay? It's time to replenish that this offseason. I don't want to talk about the offseason right now. Okay? We're getting ready for Giants week now. Maybe that's the best cure-all because for whatever reason, the last how many years the Eagles have dominated the Giants. It's just one of those things. It comes in cycles, right? So hopefully they can get back onto the winning road this week at the Meadowlands, a place that they've done a lot of winning in recent years. Giant fans know this. We'll see. I mean, the Giants, look, they have their defense this year. That offense, it's very Jekyll and Hyde. And I know that here I am talking about the wideouts, right? Well, they have weapons. I mean, they got Beckham and so they got wide receivers that can catch. But at the same time, Eli has always struggled against the Eagles. The Eagles' defense has always given fits. He has those Eli eyes going when he sees this defense. So hopefully they can get good pressure on him and contain the receivers the Giants have best they can. Offensively, would it be asking too much for these receivers to catch the ball? I mean, would it? I'm just saying, just put up some points this week. Let's get this bitter taste out of our mouth. It was a tough one. It really came down to that fourth quarter, and there were too many mistakes made. You just can't play that way and win games, particularly not in the NFL. I mean, it just isn't going to happen. So the hope is, they can rebound, get a win against the Giants, another road game. But we'll see. It's a tough stretch. It's been a tough, road. I mean, they beat a previously undefeated Vikings team, then they go to Dallas, now it's New York. Meadowlands, I should say, but you play who you play on the schedule, and this is the next one up. So, another NFC East battle. The Eagles, they're also 0-2 in the division, and that's certainly not good. Really, two winnable games, if you ask me. The Washington game, they just never showed up for, and the Dallas game, they did. they had the win, and they're the Eagles, so they found a way. Give it up. People wonder why we're so frustrated around here, right? Well, look what we have to deal with all the time, it seems. But yeah, it's tough one. I frustrated, disappointed. I mean, if I would have made this video at the end of that game, it would have been right up there with an EDP rant because I was not happy with the way that game ended. But I was super tired too. It was the day I was moving in, and I'm just kind of going back and forth here between houses, getting more stuff over there and whatnot. So it's been a real long go of it. But, we'll see. Eagles, Giants this week in the Meadowlands. We'll see Dallas again at the end of the year. We'll see them on January 1st in our home field this time. So, hopefully we'll have something better for them in that game. Hopefully if they're up in the fourth quarter, they can close it out, and get a W then and kind of avenge, this tough loss. But, we'll see. I mean, look, there could be a few teams that come out of this division this year for playoff spots because you look at the landscape of the NFC this year, I mean, it's not like the other divisions are running away with things too. So, this was the worst division last year. It could be one of the best divisions this year. It's just how things work, and the Eagles still have a shot. I mean, look, they're 4-3, still above 500. You beat the Giants, you're 5-3, still looking okay. It could come down to that last game of the regular season for the division. I know Dallas fans are all, we won't have it wrapped up by then. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's still a long season. Let's not forget this. And you're still going to have to deal with the fact, well, when Tony's ready, are they just going to keep him hurt until Dak loses a game, right? Tony. Oh, he's Tony. He's still not quite there. Dak loses a game. Yeah, he's ready. We'll see. But still a long season to go. Don't count it yet, Dallas fans. Don't you count the Division One just yet. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Anyhow, these receivers just got to find a way to catch the ball. Damn it, catch the ball. Stick them on their gloves. Isn't that what they used to do in the old days, right? Like Bolitnikoff used to have all that. Maybe Bolitnikoff, they need to get him here to be one of the advisors. Oh, yeah, you use this. Or was it like Hot Hands and Little Giants and clap and he... Oh, that was the Replacements, actually. That was... Yeah, the one character receiver they all broken. Something like that. It was one of those two movies. But anyhow, that's going to do it for me. I've rambled on for 35 minutes. I'm sorry, but I just had a lot to say. Eagles go down to defeat once again the final score 29-23 overtime. 2 straight years they play overtime in Dallas. That's that doesn't happen very often that you have overtime back-to-back years in the same stadium. But it happened. We got last year. They got this year. But we'll see. They still have a winning record though in AT&T Stadium. And they do have a winning record at the new Meadowlands. So the new Giant Stadium, I should say. So. We'll see if that continues. Hopefully it does. Man, they got to get another big division game on the road. They got to get this one. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. Until next week. After the next game, as always, let's go Birds. Get past this one. It's a tough one, but let's get past this one and go on to the Giants, and we'll see how it goes. All right, everyone. Let's get a win this week. I'll see you next one.